All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. We're going to do things a little different today, and by the end of it, I'm hoping I could leave you with some information to understand why the markets have been so crazy lately, but also so stable. So I got two things that are the next steps we need to be watching out for, and the things that I think can trigger either the next volatile event or even lead to us calming down and get off of this August-September seasonality and find out what is going to happen. So as far as today, I'm not going to cover it as much. This story was all about Apple. We expanded upon the news from yesterday. The whole iPhone ban, it was more widespread than we thought. That's what the report was today, and pretty much what I was talking about on the video yesterday. It was the same news, a bigger reaction, but now we also saw other chip companies get drawn into the shakiness of China and Apple and all that. Even Qualcomm dropped, Broadcom, SMCI, ASML, and these are plays you should be watching, but that was pretty much the major story of the day. If anything, to give you the counter, there was some analysts who said, well, listen, the China stuff is bad, but it's overblown. They're saying that government phones would only account for 500,000 units of the 40 million that are sold in China. So AKA, they're saying this is a non-event, but now Apple, this is its biggest two-day loss all year. So that's all we had today, but now we got to talk about these two factors, and I'm going to give it to you. All I need from you, thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed, and if you don't know, man, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open, youtube.com/the stock market. We will see you there in the morning, and if you have any questions on this, I mean, I got these watch lists every day, but you could always come on live, and we have had some great conversations surrounding a lot of this stuff, but run it, baby.
Working to the couch, it's the 2020 election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel it's a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but the sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
But right off the bat, what I want to talk about is the dollar or oil being the next indicator that we should be watching. What is my premise? You've heard me say this in a broader sense already. I don't think the market is going to make a meaningful move until the data moves meaningfully, or the Fed decides things have moved meaningfully enough and they decide to act and move ahead of time. After this last month, we've been talking about China, all of these, just this currency did that, this country did this, even all the bank downgrades, United States downgrade. There's been a lot of stuff, but now even recently with China, their currency is weakening a lot, and literally I'm thinking after this last month, I really believe China is becoming a real global economic problem, and it looks like the trigger point is going to be the dollar or oil from here on out. So why am I saying this? Because the market is dropping, and that's what I mean by some of this craziness. We went through a wild August, and just in a couple of days, you bounce right back up. And remember where you are at on the market. It's not like this 1 year ago. You were way lower than where we were at. These are taking you to some of the all-time highs. We are at an elevated level, but the market is still getting this volatility, even though bond volatility has kind of been absent, even though it seems like they're moving a lot. But what I'm saying is that we are elevated but still dropping, and now in the side of all of this, you're literally watching China get blown up. Even the Huawei stuff yesterday, this ban, I do believe it's serious. The first time cutting existing mortgages since 2008, they're going way back in their playbook, and that's not good. But what I'm saying is, with all of this going on, why isn't the market reacting, especially even China? They're back to October levels, but how come you are not watching panic like other times we have seen? So this is where our information comes into play, and we are starting with the dollar. We talked about this yesterday. I'm sure you've already heard it. The dollar is a big part of the equation right now. You may have heard of something called the dollar wrecking ball, where the dollar gets strong and destroys everything. We have talked about it a lot on this channel, and if you want to get context, last year, October, when the market, September, October, everything was getting destroyed, the dollar was rocketing. It was much higher than where it is at now, but a lot of people are saying the dollar is strong now. It's literally, I think, 8 weeks in a row of gains and breaking out on the year, but again, how come you're not getting this reaction? And when you pull out the chart, how come the dollar is still low? This is what we talked about, but what you got to understand, the dollar wrecking ball, That is not happening right now. The dollar is strong and it's going up, but not every other currency in the world is breaking. So simply put, the dollar is strong, but it's not wrecking anything more or less. And this is what we were talking about yesterday, because the euro and pound, both of these things, they are not getting wrecked by it. So hopefully you understand what I'm saying here. The dollar wrecking ball occurs when the dollar is strong and everything else is weak. What is happening right now is that the East Asian currencies like the China yuan, the Japanese yen, anything out there, they are all weakening and breaking out at these levels that are not good. You go look at America and Europe, yeah, we're making some moves recently, but it's not as if it is as bad as what we saw towards the end of last year. The dollar is not wrecking just yet. And that's why I'm telling you now, this should be probably the first indicator you should be watching, because the dollar will start wrecking if everything stays the same as it is now, even China currency, Japanese yen, but now the euro and pound come down, and then we start to see the dollar really lift off, even the other currencies support, then you would start to witness the dollar wrecking ball, and that's where we get that event where it's like, okay, when is the market going to move? Maybe when those bigger currencies start to lose their footing, and then the dollar can really start running to wreck things. But that's the first theory, or that's the first thing. It hasn't happened yet, and that's why I'm saying, broadly speaking, maybe that's why we have this broader stability until the dollar is really the only strong man alive. Then we might just chill out and let the other countries do their things until they get a little bit worse. But now the next thing we have to talk about is oil, and to understand it a little bit, we got to go back to 2008. So this is a chart of crude. Let's pull it back here. Is it only giving me 10 years? It's not even loading. I think I might have to extend it out a little bit. Are they not giving me? Let's refresh it. That was way more difficult than it needed to be, but here is oil, and this is going to make a lot of sense because we've talked about this, but take a look at what happened into oil. Leading into the 2008 crash, there were two different pops, like 03 to like 06, and then this like 06 to 08 pop. And pretty much as oil started to go down, everyone was like, okay, yeah, things could be happening in the oil market, but a lot of people would relate it to the economy. Economic activity globally, domestically, that goes down. People start saying, well, yeah, if the economy's slowing down, so is oil. Why does this sound familiar? Because this is what I thought at the end of 2022, and that's why I made that UNG play. Take a look at what happened with oil. You could have thought these were the smaller pops, but it made a gnarly move, just like it did, from $20 all the way up to 76, 03 to 06. We saw oil go from 16, it was actually negative, and then it shot all the way up to like 114, and then we saw oil lose like 50% of that, almost a little bit less. And also what was happening, the dollar was wrecking at that moment, and all the other currencies, there was a lot going on. Economic activity was slowing down. That's why we made the UNG play. That's why we were looking at this stuff, and we said it's either oil's going to skyrocket again, or if it dies, then the economy should die. Well, I don't know how to break this to you. Yes, it was wrong at that moment, and maybe we were just 2 years early, but maybe this is the same exact thing we're looking for now. But this is what I'm trying to tell you, and what I mean by this is like the only reason we need to be watching oil is just think about it. If oil starts spiking from now, it is going to freak out all of the economies, all of the currencies, and oil, oil above 90, oil above 100 would surprise a lot of people with how they started off this year. Even higher would be crazier, but if all of that started happening, it would bring back the conditions for the dollar wrecking ball. Other countries would freak out, the inflation stuff and all of that. But then what I'm trying to tell you, if we watch oil somehow break this peak, the next drop, that is probably when things are going to react. So what I'm telling you to look for, either wait for the broader currencies to absolutely die, and then the dollar will start becoming the wrecking ball, or oil starts to skyrocket, and oil skyrocketing won't bring the market down. It's when oil stops skyrocketing, which could be a little bit more broader, but it's starting to really look like that, and it makes sense just in line of like the psychology and emotions of how people react during these times. So, Chad, I hope you enjoy this. I hope you like it. I hope you get it. I try to simplify it. I try to keep less ranting and whatever else it may be. And the beauty is we've talked about this in the past, but hopefully you see it. And I think even with patience, we might see how things are playing out. But now what I'm also telling you, China, globally, the yen, the currencies, they're all getting at these crazy scenarios, and we have to be paying attention. So don't get lulled into like nothing's happening, but also don't buy into the fear where it ends up hurting you down the line. But I hope you get where I'm saying. It's like we got to pay attention, and hopefully we could find a reliable compass, kind of like throughout the last couple years, especially when things did shift, we would start to see it. And these are things that I see formulating, or at the very least, as we're having all this stuff happen, this is what I'm looking at where I'm like, well, these things, oil and the dollar, they're kind of in their own world. So is Europe versus Asia. And it's like they're either going to converge or not. And that may very well be the shift we got to watch for. But even on the broad sense, like I said, I hope the compass works. So keep watching. But Chad, that's it. I'm not going to end it. I got plays. I closed out of Intel. We made $2,000, 10% on equity. No options, just shares. That was beautiful. Still holding AMD. I'm down on that. I'm considering a Baidu average, but maybe low 130s. It's at 136 now. It's a good 50-50 point. We talked about that, but now for the plays tomorrow, SMCI, Broadcom, because they're coming off of earnings, then ASML. SMCI keeps getting confused with the SMC, the super semiconductor manufacturing, the Hong Kong company, gets related to SMCI. They do have some connection to the Apple stuff. That's why I'm saying watch them, but they dropped a lot today. And then the other one, ASML, they might get in trouble as being part of what's her name, or the Hong Kong, what's her name, SM Superconductor Micro, not Super, see, I'm even confusing it, but pretty much ASML is related to how the other guys got it, Huawei, and they could get in trouble, and then even Qualcomm took a hit as well. But those are the plays I'm going to be watching besides Apple. And then we still got, I averaged on Pfizer. I didn't really average on it. I added it to the long term. I misspoke yesterday. I did flip shares that I averaged on, and then I added it to the long term, and I had weird settling issues. I sound like Kevin Hart right now, but I was able to buy the full set now for the long term. Then I have 600 shares that I'm holding for flip share. So that's pretty much it. It's going to be Friday. We'll see where any of this stuff takes us. There shouldn't be too much data. I mean, I said jobless claims when it moves stuff, and it kind of did in the morning, but we were already puking anyways. I don't think we should have too much to react to. There's data out of Japan tonight, and China's CPI after the market closes tomorrow, so should be pretty chill. Then we go into CPI, so I hope you're ready. But Daddy Sir watch this, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. I need you to remember. Just it's the word. It's a word, and it will be preserved, baby. That's it. That's all I'm going to say, man. That's it. I was just I didn't have time. And my philo, man, I really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate if you understand the context to it. Thank you for listening with me today. You know what I'm saying? That's all. That's all I want to tell y'all, but I don't know what I was doing with my hands there. I did this, and I was confused, and my mind was like, what are you doing? But then I was already talking, so I had to, and that's it. I'm done. That's it. And that shirt, I don't want to explain this shirt. I got a messed up joke for it, actually. I'm going to say, man, I love you. Good vibes. I'm going to leave, man. Horn. Ooh, so I didn't end it yet, but yeah, Horn. I love you. Drink the water. You're blessed, bro. You're blessed. You know the word. Horn.